are aware on, these KPIs in some of or many modules in ServiceNow like ITSM, ITOM. So we would be discussing upon what would be those right set of KPIs for all these modules. There are some KPIs which are readily available on, you know, at many places, like Now Create, the latest one, even on HighSpot, right? Plus, we have some of our past experiences, but we haven't gathered, you know, together to discuss upon that these things at any time. So this would be one of the time wherein we can discuss on each and every module. What are those things which are very much imperative for customer? From our understanding, KPI for ITSM could be, let's say, MTTR, right? So reduction in MTTR, we would be very glad to show that we have reduced your MTTR over the period of 6 months or something like that. But there could be something different which is important for customer from their perspective. So we have to be in their shoes. We have to understand their mindset to be firm and to decide that for this particular project, these are the top 3, 4, 5 KPIs wherein we would be focusing upon. But to have that, right decision, we should be knowing what are the bigger picture, what is the bigger picture, and what are all available KPIs out there, so that we can make the right choice. So even I would say, for two customers which are having the very similar kind of ITSM implementations, KPIs can be different. Their mindset can be different. The challenges they are currently having, can be different. So the conversation we are having with them should be very much personalized to their challenges. So I understand that more projects we do in all the modules, we get to understand more environments, and uh, that's how we can tailor our conversations accordingly so that they are making more sense to the customer. But overall objective would be to discuss on all these KPIs which are possible and which are available with us, and then probably we can add our experiences so that we have the right, I would say, the ideal set of KPIs for our future projects. That's the first agenda. Then there are two more things that we would like to share. One is about an attitude that every one of us, even all our team members, should be having while we are having any kind of work, be it any project or any conversation or any kind of training. So not depending upon the type of thing that we are doing, there can be one go to attitude that we can just think about and probably adapt uh, in the coming time. And and yeah, so these two things are there. So the first attitude, or the key thing that we can learn, is uh, the problem solving attitude. So I would share a very cleach slide, I would say, and then we can discuss about it. And yeah, so this is my agenda for this call. Apart from that, I would be very glad to hear from every one of us, wherein we can, what, let's say if we are having version 2 of this kind of training, then what would be more additions that we can have, or any feedback on a particular session or anything and sorts of that. So that would be the later part. So this is the overview that we are going to have today. But starting from the KPI, we would be discussing, and definitely we all of us are aware that who is the champ of which particular module. So one by one we would be discussing each and every module, and then we can finally sort out that the ideal set of KPIs as I was discussing. So just for a brush up kind of thing, I would like to just focus upon what should be the right vision when we are talking to any customer, and we are discussing about this value proposition, value realization, business outcome, these kind of big words, I would say. So there should be a consistent approach for all of us, so that if today I am talking to, let's say, Servion, and tomorrow Charan is talking to Servion, or let's say day after tomorrow someone else, then the experience that Surveyon is getting from Inmorphis should be, consistent. There should not be a persona specific, experience that they should get. Oh, above all, we belong to Inmorphis, and this Inmorphis spirit should be, uh, reflecting in what experience we are providing to them. So that to enable this, we can all, have the right set of approaches that we can always adapt, and we can brand it accordingly. I mean, I won't say what choice of words I would be having, similar choice of words Charan would also be having, so never, it can never happen. But the experience that we want to provide to our customers can be definitely consistent, so we all should be on just same page for that. So for all of these, I hope my screen is visible, right? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So for all of these, applications, we can discuss what should be that right set of KPIs, and with that, we'll move forward. Before we, jump to IT service management, just a quick overview of, what can be this fancy KPI term. So there are two things, as I understand it. One is the business outcome, which is the long term vision, I can say, for any customer, even for Inmorphis, for every entity out there, wherein they have one vision, they have this long term goal wherein they want to achieve something, or it is generally, related to the experience they want to provide to their internal people, external business users. So as we can, see here, so for an example, let's say there is an organization wherein they have some IT service desk, very, very simple use case. And they have a vision that for their internal employees, they want to deliver a world class IT service experience, so that this IT service desk is having the best, service delivery possible. And they are comparing it to their consumer experience. So the level of experience they are providing to their end customers, they want their employees also to experience the same. So this is their long term vision. But to achieve this long term vision, or to realize this, they need to, you know kind of make some subsets out of it, or make, some small streams wherein they have to work one by one. So first of all, if they want to deliver this world class IT experience, they might also want to reduce their current support and maintenance costs. Second, they may want to improve their current speed of issue resolution. So their current speed may be for X days. In X days, any IT ticket is getting solved today, but they want to improve it so that it is not taking X days tomorrow. It should be taking much lesser time. Then they want to, kind of provide a self-service kind of, interface to their employees, and they want to have it more automation, wherein assignments or auto closure of these requests, these kind of, automation pieces can be there. And fourth, they want to, let's say, have a transparency or a visibility on what actually is happening, so probably the right analytics. So this thing, these four areas they might be, thinking to deliver this world class IT service experience. Now, along with these, business outcomes, there can be some associated KPIs, and KPIs are just the matrix, the right matrix, which are there to measure whether, we are approaching close to these business outcomes. So there can be some matrix. For example, I want to reduce my IT, support and maintenance cost for, let's say, 10%. And these of course can be, in range, or probably with the, past trends that we have been getting so far. So there have to be a genuine number. We cannot just say that with ServiceNow, and within 2 months you would be able to save, let's say, 90% of your man months cost. So definitely these should be very much, genuine numbers or metrics. Similarly, the, let's say, the MTTR, which we call incident mean time to resolution, they want to improve it, so that's where, they can just have a kind of benchmark saying that, okay, I targeted to reduce by 25%, 20% by the end of this year. Similarly, for self-service, let's say right now I'm having 80% of tickets which are getting generated manual. I want to reduce it so that more than 50% of tickets are getting generated automatically. And let's say current CSAT, what I'm having is 4. I want to improve it to 4.5. So these kind of quantified metrics can be attached to these business outcomes so that measuring these business outcomes is easier for us. Now in ServiceNow terminology, what we have is there are two kinds of KPIs. One is the outcome KPI, which is depending upon what kind of process or application we are implementing for a customer. So for example, for ITSM kind of projects, MTTR can be for sure one of the very important things, right? And of course, we would like to monitor how much reduction we have, seen in this MTTR over a period of time. Similarly, if we are deploying the HR applications in ServiceNow, so in that case, the overall objective is to have the right, employee experience, so that the entire HR service delivery, which is provided with these applications, is having the right outcome. So for that, either our employee survey score or the attrition rate that we are having, these could be one of the right metrics. Similarly, CSM, customer service management. For this, I mean, very important, KPI, as we all know, is the CSAT. When we also, are proud of our CSAT, like we have 9.8 or 9.7 CSAT out of 10 of all these implementations that we did, right? So this CSAT and this improvement in CSAT can be one of the right KPI for the CSM implementation. So with this, what we are doing, we are measuring the outcome of what we did in terms of the applications which were developed or configured on the platform for customers. Now, there is a second set of KPI, which is the implementation KPI, and that is universal. So regardless of which application we have configured, these are the KPIs which should be always there. So for example, performance. So there are two ways of, doing the project. Some projects are configuration heavy, some of them are customization heavy. So this configuration versus customization is very much related to your instance performance, right? So in that case, the performance of your application, whether it is in ServiceNow's case, ServiceNow platform, or let's say you have developed any web application, you have just launched a new website. So how good the performance of this website is. So this is the implementation KPI that gives you an idea of how well the deployment has been done, or how to what extent the best practices were performed, so that you can analyze the performance of your instance or project or application, whatever has been deployed. With that, we also want to check how well this instance or application has been adopted. So let's say I want to target that if I'm going live today, by the end of next 2 months, more than 50% of agents should be using only ServiceNow to work upon any case, or probably more than 50% of the end users, which are employees, should be using only ServiceNow to raise their cases. There should not be any manual calls or emails, right? So this kind of adoption KPI we can decide and target, so that we can see how well our system has been adopted within the end users and the agents, right? Similarly, the process implementation KPI. So process implementation means, let's say if ITSM implementation was done, whether ITSM best practices were performed. So again, it's specific to process, but very much on how well you implement these applications. So these three categories can be there for the implementation KPIs, and these are again universal. These can be always there, be it any ITSM project, ITOM project, or any other project. So these two sets of KPIs we can identify at the start of project, so that by the end of it, we are having the right direction and customer is also expecting the right things from us. Now, there are some, I would say, guidelines when we design these KPIs. The very first is KPIs should be clear and simple. So clarity means we should be talking in the same language. if customer understands MTTR, then we should not be, just terming it like uh, time to, reduce or something like that, which is not understandable to the customer, or which is not very much to the point for them. So it should be clear for the customer, and it should be simple to quantify for them. So of course there has to be a due diligence with the customer, on what kind of reports they are currently capturing, or their executive want to see what kind of data or statistics, what is their long term vision, what exactly is the pain point or challenge that they are having as a business driver for this project, and they want to get it improved uh, in the near future. So in that case, our KPIs should be very clear and simple from customer perspective. Then is there is one smart angle that we have to kind of fit in here. Our KPIs should be having this flavor of proactive approach, wherein these KPIs should enable customer, so to think in this the overall transformation vision that they are having. So let's say there is an overall vision of improving the overall IT service experience, like this only. So this is the vision, but it has many such applications which needs to be configured for customer, and they want to take it phase wise. Let's say in first phase they are just going for ITSM, and later on they would be adopting, let's say, discovery, and then HR, and then whatnot. So in that case, our KPIs should be designed in a format, so that by the end of ITSM they should be also looking for, let's say, CMDB completeness, so that they also look forward for having ITOM in place. Similarly, once they have ITSM and ITOM set, then we can probably have one KPI or some measurement around their offboarding kind of request, so that they can think about the next set of application. So this can be one, we can say the account mining angle, or the customer growth angle. But there can be one proactive example or proactive matrix which intelligently we can fit, and then they can probably there can be conversations around it, and then you can have that opportunity lined up. Then again, I think we already talk about it. If there are two companies and we have this business case which was very much fruitful for one customer, there cannot be this case that the same would be applicable for the same company, whether this is in the same industry or they are having similar kind of challenges. There would be always some difference in what they are trying to achieve. So we should be careful enough to use the past experience, but we should always tailor these learnings with the flavor of what current customer is needing. So yeah, so I think with these understanding we can have that right set of KPIs, and these should not be more than, let's say, we should not be targeting 20-25 KPIs in front of them. We should be just targeting upon, let's say, 3, 4, 5 KPIs on which we can take them into confidence that okay, right now this is the number that you are having for each of these KPIs, and after 6 months or after 4 months, whatever the due time is there after go live, when adoption is fine, this is the metric that we can kind of foresee that if adoption goes well and everything is in place, then this 20%, 30%, or whatever number we are committing, this can be achievable, so that your KPI selection is not going wrong. So 3, 4, 5, not more than that. But for every single project, whenever we are talking to customer, let's say even during the project, we are configuring certain things for them. Even to the process owners, these 3, 4 KPIs should be very, very understandable. They should be familiar about it, that we are doing this exercise to achieve something, and this is something that we are going to achieve. So let's say MTTR, self-service rate, or deflection of incidents. These kind of KPIs should be very much familiar to the people with whom we are working during the project. So that's the overall objective. But it's just one exercise that we should be doing with the customer at the start of project, so that they are expecting the right things from us, and with the platform as well. So yeah, so that's all about it. Now I hand it over to you. Please be interactive, and let's share our experiences, whether we have done any kind of this KPI building workshop or value realization workshop at the start of project and the end of project, wherein we talk with customer and we try to have the common understanding around these KPIs. Okay, so anyone would like to start? Hello,
Hi,
am I
this is
audible?
Varun. Yep.
Okay, so I am audible. Yes, yeah, Varun.
Yeah, so I'll just give an example of one of the KPIs that we did when we implemented major incident uh, module in our project. So, like what we did was, um, while implementing that major incident module, one thing that was first and foremost was the time it actually took to get everyone on the bridge and get that incident resolved. So the KPI that we did was the time reduction and actually getting a resolution for, or like getting the team together for a major incident. So it was, so like by the end of what, 2 years, uh, we were able to showcase that okay, there has been around 65 to 68% reduction in the time that it used to take. So that was one of the KPIs that we did.
Yeah, great. So, Varun, what was the process wherein you kind of, gathered the current data? So, I mean, we cannot just say that without having the current data, we cannot measure what has been improved or what has been not improved. So,
Mhm.
what was your thought process? Or the customer was, having this data readily available so that they could provide you the current, let's say, major incident resolution rate or MTTR for the major incidents. What was that approach?
So, so the way we actually gathered the current data initially was, before major incident module implementation, what used to happen was, I mean, when a major incident would be called in, the service desk team would then call the major incident manager. There was a team for major incident manager. So they would first call the major incident manager, and then major incident manager will send out a, will call everyone manually. But what they would do is they would wait for everyone to join on that bridge. And then, so all these were being captured in the incident notes
Okay.
of that particular major incident. So using those notes, we actually, I mean, we uh, kind of showed an average that okay, this is the process that you guys go through, and this is how much time you right now take. So, like for so one of the examples of those were if even there was a memory leak from an existing application or existing database, they used to take like at least 3 to 4 hours just to get everyone together. And we showed them that okay, the resolution actually took them what, like an hour, but just to gather the entire team, which would actually work on that major incident, it took them 4 hours. And it was all present in the incident notes. So we showed them that, okay, this is the time that it is taking you. And then when we implemented that module, we were able to create metrics and all. And as soon as someone used to join, or the notification used to go out, like it would all be captured in the notes and metrics there, and then it showed the time which it actually took, and then after that, the incident resolution time also reduced. So it was kind of a combination of both. So that's how we did it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, to me at least. So there are some, cases wherein, I mean, in my kind of, work, I often experience it. So I would just try to share my share of it. So what generally happens, customers are like, okay, so we need one, let's say automated service desk, and we need all these. ITSM modules and we want this to be implemented, but we don't have any current data. So, and this happens many a times wherein even if they are having certain tool, whether it is a mature tool like let's say BMC, or it is just a very very raw or greenfield implementation, like they are just using Excel sheet, nothing else. So even in these scenarios, many a times they just very bluntly say that no, we don't have any current data. So have any of us experienced such kind of situation wherein let's say we have this thing and we have to build this business case, or probably we have to identify these two or three KPIs that would be very important for this project. So in that case, is there any approach or any step that we can uh, use to further dig down into customer environment, and then probably we can identify any situation like this? Because I experience it many a times, and then we do something. So but just before that, I would like to ask, is it very common wherein let's say you are into a project and you are doing ITSM for them, and then for the reports discussion when you are having with them, you just have one question asked that can you share the current MTTR for let's say software issues kind of request, and they say no. So in that case, what would be your approach, or what did you do when such kind of situation was there for you? Because it is relatively easier in pre-sales exercises. I'm not very sure on when we are on the ground, we are in actual project. So in that case, what should we do then?
Talk to different teams, because usually what happens is they do have data. It's just that they don't know where it is. I mean,
Correct. Even
so
they don't understand it sometimes the way you are asking to them, because that's why I just wrote that KPIs should be clear and simple so that customer can understand it well, because they either don't trace it that way or they don't name it that way. So this is definitely they don't I mean, this is very very valid point that happens. So I'll just share my I would say workaround in this case. We generally definitely talk to different teams, and we generally talk to the level -1 or -2 people. So let's say if we are talking to some uh, you know let's say process owner, which is who is service delivery manager, and the person was earlier taking care of this BMC system which was there, and now we are replacing it or we are migrating to ServiceNow. So in that case, this SDM might not be very helpful for you to find out this data. So in that case, we generally approach parallelly in a parallel way to their many junior champions, wherein they kind of have and we can just request for a session for a demo in their current environment, because by the time they would also be using the same system, they won't be getting used to ServiceNow. So their current system access would be there, and then you can have the the end-to-end walkthrough of their current system, and then you can find some of the right reports that they are currently having, and then you can throw some questions, are you tracking MTTR, and then you can find that okay, they are not even tracking MTTR. So these kind of workarounds are helpful, at least in pre-sales exercise. I'm sure in delivery also, but I would say in delivery they are kind of bound to provide you these kind of data, because it is very quintessential for the project and your the reports that you would be creating in ServiceNow. But we should be very much aware on who can be helpful when, and all the permutation combinations are very much required, wherein this data is important required for us. And this data exercise, I'm sure Manav would agree with me, this data exercise is very very important whenever we are talking to some leadership, because they don't believe unless you have some quantified matrix with you. They don't just believe on okay, so we'll be improving your IT service delivery. They will ask to what percent. or what would be the right difference that you would be making. So in that case, these KPIs are very handy, and that's why we should be having the right KPIs with us. So now I think we can move on to the applications one by one. So anything on this slide or anything that we would like to share? Okay, so I'll move further. So let's start with ITSM. I'm sure these applications are very familiar with all of us, and we know all of these applications by heart now. What exactly incident management, what is service request, what is the difference, these kind of things. So this is a very basic set of KPIs that we generally have in our project, but these are very much useful for the customer, and there are some of the highlighted KPIs which are generally your talking points when you talk about these applications to the customer. So let's say if I talk about incident management to them, so we can definitely discuss all the KPIs, but let's say this MTTR, or you know MTTR for the high priority incident. So you can start your conversations like which kind of incidents you are generally getting which are on higher priority for you. So out of 100 incidents, let's say 20 of them are on higher priority side, and what is that kind of incident? In that case, there could be some different mechanism that they would be adopting for tackling these high priority incidents other than the rest of incidents. So in that case, this MTTR can be a bit different because it needs to be definitely lower than the rest of incidents. So these two matrices, that what is the general in general MTTR of all the incidents and MTTR for high priority incidents. Then for multiple business units, as IT would be handling their own incidents, there would be HR would be handling their own incidents. So these kind of number or the volume of incidents, so that you can articulate the right channel or the spread of these incidents business unit wise. So these are some of the KPIs that you can talk, or if they are clueless, they are not ready, or they are not providing any sort of the right reports, then these could be some of the starter points for you. Similarly, for problem, change, asset, service request, this is just a draft, and I would like to know more on, or we can discuss on this, so that if there is some KPI which is missing, or we can we learned it from some customer experience that this was something that the customer was wanting, and we can probably add to this list. Then we can just share our thoughts on this. So from ITSM, can we have one champion among us who can just talk about some more KPIs, or why these KPIs are important? What are the top 2 KPIs in all these sections? Guys, who can be taking up ITSM? Because then we would be having many other applications. Just starting with ITSM. So who will be taking care of this? Amit, can you start with this?
Sure. So, if you look at the overall ITSM landscape, there are a couple of KPIs which comes into the forefront from the numbers perspective, which I've seen across the board irrespective of what the process is, whether it's incident, problem change, or whatever. The first thing which most of the delivery managers, the actual people who are in the line of fire and who are managing the line of fire, they look for the KPI which is related to the SLA, the meeting SLAs. So every organization has certain service level agreements defined for resolving any kind of ITSM ticket, whether it's incident, service request, or problem, whatever. So the first and foremost thing is the KPI, and is the SLM meeting, and they also want to see the trend. So it's not just the percentage of ITSM tickets meeting the SLAs and percent of tickets missing the SLAs. The other thing which they all want is the quarter or a periodic term based improvement, the trend analysis. So, for example, today their KPI is or their CSF is like around 90% of the incident tickets or ITSM tickets should meet SLAs, irrespective whether it's a 4 hour, 8 hour, depending on priority and whatever basis. But 90% of the ITSM records should meet. And then whatever the base amount of incidents or ITSM records are, they look for quarterly improvement or a periodic improvement that okay 5% of improvement should be there on resolution, and then they look for reduction in MTTR. There are a couple of 3 4 KPIs which most of the season where delivery managers or operations manager look for in combination for the KPIs implementation. Another thing which we do not cover, but it is of a paramount importance, especially the people who are sponsors of these kind of projects and initiatives, is from the bottom line perspective. That is revenue. When we are saying MTTR, reduction, when we are saying SLM meeting and trying to improve it, they also look at it from the monetary terms. Okay, if I'm improving the MTTR, how I'm doing it, whether I would be requiring more resources or I'm doing automation or the system is getting matured enough that the individuals who are at various levels are able to resolve more incidents in the same amount of time. So that helps them to show improvement in their bottom line, that revenue cost or TCO or ROI in the systems. That is another thing which is very important for the key stakeholders, especially who are decision makers, who are at a senior management of an organization. So when I have done, unfortunately, in Moffice, I haven't done any project like that. But in my previous organizations, we had a due diligence workshops where we drill down with not just the mid management, but we also had sessions with the senior management, and we also thought from their perspective. We had a specific exercise where we used to, role play from the customer side, and we used to empathize what the customer see is, senior stakeholder, key position holder who has a decision maker will sponsor the entire project and the cost and everything, what he wants, what he will think about the implementation, and what he will realize after the project is complete and we are moving out of the organization into delivery BAU, or we are continuing that. So that is a few KPIs, and this entire exercise used to be done, which you very well put it into the first slide, which is about the vision, and then what are the business aspirations, then converting into the measurement matrix, and finally getting them into different sorts of KPIs. You have classified the KPIs into 2 categories, but there are many more. However, one of the things was like financial, where TCO improvement or ROI improvement or whatever, right, was also being done. Now, this is something which I'm talking about from my previous experiences, not in Moffice. In Moffice, I did not had a chance where I did something like that, or I did some kind of a due diligence. Hello,
Yes,
am I
I
audible?
can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, I can hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. So that was a short input from my side.
Right. So, Amit, anything is specific on the asset or CMDB side? Because when we do IT service management, asset management, and the CMDB is also an integral part of it. So, any specific KPI from that perspective?
Uh,
Uh, I'm not sure if you
that
can you see my screen.
No, it is not. But I can tell you there are 2 KPIs which every SSCM manager or every SDM or operations manager wants it, is the number of CIs which whose records are covered in the CMDB and which are not, either through integration or manual or whatever. And another thing is the missing attributes. Missing attributes is one of the key pain areas for most of the operations managers and delivery managers, because when they get into thick of things, they are missing the information, and often somebody has to manually get into the CI. If the CI is already down, then we may not get that information. So that is one thing. Another thing is the refresh rate, or the the way CMDB information or ham information gets refreshed in the ServiceNow or any system. Uh, the aggressive you get, the more concurrent and relevant and updated your system and your CMDB will be. But that also has its own drawbacks, because if you run discovery, if you run integrations, and if you update the entire records of, let's say, 60,000 or a lakh or 2 lakh or a million CI records, right? Then it takes its own toll over the CMDB system as well as the network. So you have to balance it out. You have to check the CI missing attributes, which is key, the overall CIs which the organization has, and the percentage of CI records or asset records which it has in the system being managed by the system. So that's another thing which also gets looked at a lot. And then obviously you will have, every system these days have the CMDB maintenance test, or let's say, CMDB health checks, what we call it in ServiceNow, customized test. So they have the customized test. Okay, how the CMDB is doing, what are the relevant classes we have, and those things. So it drill downs, but overall, two, three things. Uh, how much the CMDB, has the information vis-a-vis the actual CI and assets which the organization has, which have been recorded into the system, and the missing attributes and the overall health. So most of the organizations prefer that the CMDB health status, overall health status, which includes the consistency, which includes the correctness, which includes the completeness, right, should be above 80%, 90%. And the 10% or 20%, they keep it for the end user assets, which keep on changing, or the network parameter assets or CIs, which are prone to, rapid changes without going through a proper change management process or release management process. So CMDB and asset sites, those are the things. And then obviously there are financials, which gets how much they can track and everything. That depends on organization to organization.
Yep. So, I mean, as rightly mentioned that this CMDB health dashboard, even we have it out of the box with ServiceNow, and we track these three KPIs, which are three C's of CMDB. Very famous thing in the ServiceNow CMDB space, wherein we track completeness, correctness, and compliance of CMDB. And definitely, it is an aggregated score with all the the attributes that we have with our CI. So how much completeness we are having, how much coverage we have, you know, right now for all these CIs, how well our CIs are related to each other. We have the attributes which are filled. So with that, we have all these KPIs which are very much important. And if you remember the first slide wherein we talk about an proactive approach, here itself, we can have one conversation started wherein, so this ITSM, if we are having only ITSM without discovery, then this CMDB and having all these three C's perfect, it would be a bit challenging for us. So in that case, we can definitely have this the automated approach, not the manual one, to populate our CMDB, wherein either via discovery or any third party integration, wherein we can manually, not manually, automatically upload all these CIs and their relationships, so that this health of CMDB can be better. So there, you can probably propose the discovery in ServiceNow, or if they are having any endpoint management system like SCCM, to integrate with that, so that this overall health of CMDB can be improved. And there you can show the right KPIs that right now, let's say it is 70% or 60%. We can take it up to, let's say, 90% or something. So there we can have this, the metric, the quantified number as well, and the right KPI, which is selected as the CMDB one as well.
True, true, absolutely. In fact, one of the KPIs does come up in the discussions is that after this implementation, what will be the percentage of the CMDB which will get automatically updated and which will require manual work, and over a period of time, They want to do everything to be updated manually. So ultimately, their goal is to, you know, 100 have a 100 CMDB which has 100% CIs or updated by the systems automatically without any manual or human intervention.
Right, right. And I would say, Amit, in the case of CMDB, I think a very good conversation can also be started in case if you know, kind of interrelate CMDB with all these applications. So the percent of incidents with the right CI mapped with it, similarly with problem and change and service request records, wherein you can show them that, you know, we don't have the right CMDB or the CI attributes, the CI records attached to these, you know, these records because we don't have it currently. So you cannot really have the right change management process until you tie it with your CMDB. And if you cannot do it manually, then let's do it with discovery. So these kind of you know, interrelation among components among application is also very much important to just you know, present the value that any application can bring up. So we can certainly, you know, talk about change management alone. We can be, you know, tying it up well with incident and problem so that the customer can understand the right value and the CMDB as well. So, you know, this way we
Right.
can also,
Yeah,
yeah,
they see that value. The only challenge is, you know, translating and turning it into a number, right? Where they say, okay, if my incident or change management form does not have a CI, and if I can still work on it, how it will make a difference. So there you will have to, you know, translate and tell them that, okay, if the CI information is not there, then the MTTR for that particular ITSM record is what, and if it is there, which has complete mapping and everything, where more details are there in the record, which the analyst can look into it and make a decision, you know, informed decision, and then what is the MTTR. So then it you know, boil down to the numbers vis-a-vis relation to the CMDB and or let's say ITAM implementation, and without it.
right, right. So, I mean, if we take a very simple example of, let's say, this knowledge management. So this knowledge management application, you know, definitely we will be configuring it once, you know, we'll be doing any ITSM project. So general practices, we'll just take a dump from either their previous ITSM tool or something in, you know, the manual upload that, you know, they would want us to do so that we can have their knowledge articles well placed in the knowledge base with the right categories and everything. And then we just set up their life cycle and we are good. But how beneficial this knowledge base that we have just built up uh, for other applications like incident management. So if the number of knowledge articles that we have just uploaded, are they making any benefit to the future incidents so that if any employee is coming up tomorrow to the portal and they want to raise, let's say, any incident regarding their laptop not working very well or they are having slow internet, or and then there could be some 3 4 5 right articles which can be, you know, popped, and then even by just going through them they can just mark it useful and their problem or the issue that they were facing is not even required by them to raise the incident. So that way the deflection that has been performed by this knowledge article is very important. So the overall objective of having one application is not just having uh, you know, only the 100% implementation of it. It is all about how well it is, you know, making difference to the other applications also. So this knowledge article would be also having some input from the incident resolutions that we would be, you know, seeing over the period of time in future also, so that, you know, every new resolution that we are you know, encountering, it would be added as a knowledge article. And then once there would be a future similar kind of incident, the same knowledge article will pop up and there would be no need of raising this you know, incident. So in a way, knowledge article has empowered in incident management application to have the lesser volume of incidents. So this way, this you know, correlation of these applications is something which is very important to you know, let customer know. They might be looking these applications as standalone applications, but these KPIs can help them to achieve the best out of all of them. So like if we see that number of percent of incident resolved using KB articles, or let's say percent of incidents, the number of incidents deflected, using KB articles could be zero today. But down the line, in let's say next 2 months, it is 10% of incidents were resolved in a very first resolution, because there was a very useful knowledge articles attached to it. So in that case, we can show how well these applications are tied up together, so that the overall the vision that we were having, the having this seamless IT service delivery or the smart IT service delivery is achievable. So therefore, there can be some KPIs which are interrelated to these applications, and we can definitely focus on them. And once we are configuring these applications, we can be talking about these KPIs more, so that they can understand the value of having this platform, not a tool, because only a platform can allow them to have all these applications tied up together and working cohesively. So I think we are good with all these applications, or probably we can talk about these if we have any questions, we have any inputs from any one of us. Anyone else would like to share some experience on ITSM? Because ITSM experience would be many more among us, rather than if, let's say, we talk about DevOps. Any report or KPI wherein we would have stuck for a customer, and then we did something great and then they were happy? Any such experience, or something that they would like to see and we couldn't help them? Yeah, I heard some.
Hi, Suman. This is Radhika.
Yeah, hi Radhika. Yes.
Suman, I just want to share one of the stories from my past organization. So there was a customer who was like having a good IMS business, that is infrastructure managed services, and they were dealing into those VSAT and lease line business, wherein like satellite technology for the internet uh, services to be provided to all the banks pan India across. But they were using two kind of tools in order to monitor the performances of those internet services that they were rendering to. So they had Net Console and Remedy that was working in silos, and but they didn't have any kind of platform or a tool that was giving them a consolidated view. So they were not able to see why those incidences were occurring when they have a good manpower also provided in that particular affair. So as you mentioned that they were also not able to get to the percentage of particularly like mean time to resolution. Also they were giving us just very big numbers, like yeah, we have a 90% uptime, but getting down to a point wherein they have that consolidated information that is bifurcated, and to drill down to get to a point of the reasons in order to invest more in a particular circles or zone. So there was an absence of that. So you rightly mentioned that the correlation of all these applications are pretty important. So wherein to dig down deep onto that particular reason why that particular thing was occurring. So that is there. I just wanted to share this bit, because when we touch upon all these application that is like a suite of this IT service management and in the whole, so we get down to realize, and wherein we also try to showcase to them that this is how your network can look at too, and you can actually get these kind of reports that was actually helping them to plan their operations well. So that's bit I wanted to share, that yeah, these kind of KPIs, if at all that is there already, they must be having it, but they didn't have any medium to to look at too. So there was an absence of that kind of a platform that was working. All the tools were working in silos. So I just wanted to share that bit, the importance of these KPIs. And I just wanted to understand the term problem backlog. Whether there is one report under problem, that was problem backlog. So if you can just explain that.
Sure. So this backlog, thanks Radhika for sharing this. This backlog could be, in any of these applications. You can just see your incident backlog, problem backlog, change backlog. So it is all about the piled up problems at the current.
Okay, it's like a generic backlog.
Generic, yeah, backlog. So let's say right now I'm having 20 problems, which are still open, and these are yet to be resolved. So that kind of backlog.
thought maybe there is some different angle to it, so I thought I should ask better. Otherwise, it's fine.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that having the right platform to build these KPIs, I think this is also one of the interesting uh, conversation that we should be having with our customers, because in many enterprise kind of customers, we see that they are generally having some external reporting tool like Power BI, ClickView,
Correct.
wherein they kind of consolidate the data from all the applications out there, and then they try to build some analytics on this some external tool. So at many times, it has happened with us also, wherein earlier the customer was using some XYZ tool, and with the the power of reporting engine and the performance analytics in ServiceNow itself, we were able to even consume the data from some external database, and we could show these dashboards in the in ServiceNow platform itself. So the latest example, I think Charan would agree with me, the thing that we did in SBI card. So we we really didn't implement SecOps for them, security operations, but they wanted to have some kind of reporting from the data that they were kind of pulling from these XYZ security tools. And even if we didn't implement these applications at their core, we were able to consume that data, and we were able to show that dashboard, whatever reporting that they wanted to see. So with this, even if we talk about this reporting application in itself, it is also a very important application, so that we can also try to look for the opportunities wherein it can be one stop shop for their overall reporting needs also, not just from the ServiceNow data. So there can be some, let's say if 100 reports are, shown in ServiceNow, and 90 of them are from ServiceNow application itself, but still there can be one aggregator layer which ServiceNow is, behaving as for some external application, wherein just for these reports, there can be some data which can be consumed, and we are just showing the, some analytics on top of that. So this is also one of the interesting things that we should talk about more with our customers, so that they understand this capability also. Let's not restrict ourselves only to what ServiceNow applications are having as by default reports. We can also leverage the power of platform to have them give them the right consolidated version of whatever report that they want to publish. And this is not in SBI only. This is something that we have done at many places, so that they were able to kind of migrate from their external reporting tools as well. Yeah. So I think from this slide, I just wanted to convey that be it any single application, we should be aware that these top three, top four KPIs are there, wherein we talk to customer. There should be some quantified number that they can kind of anticipate in their minds, and then it would be more uh, you know good conversation, I would say. And these KPIs can be either shared by them, or we can proactively share with them. But there, for every single application in ServiceNow, we should be aware of some 2 3 very important KPIs. So I think with ITSM we are good. We can move further to customer service management. So like IT service management, customer service management, as we know, this is the service management piece, but for the external customer, the same service desk which we are publishing to our end customers, and we are tackling their all cases and requests and whatnot. So here again, as we were measuring the ESAT, which was employee satisfaction, we are here measuring the CSAT, which is customer satisfaction, and the latest KPI that Himanshu suggested, that customer improvement score, definitely. So like this, we can also have many KPIs around what channel the customers are using to report their cases in. Are we having some kind of proactive cases which are being generated from, let's say, some monitoring tool, so that we can notify our customers even before they raise their cases, and we already raise the cases on their behalf. So this proactive customer service operation is something which is very hot in ServiceNow customer service management nowadays. Similarly, the SLA thing, as Amit mentioned, it is also very important because customers, when they sign some contract, they owe some SLAs to us. So the visibility of having these SLAs to each of their cases is very much important to them and to the agent also. So the SLA which has been tied into their contract is pretty much important for us to show them. Similarly, we can also have this angle of major case management here also, so that let's say in proactive case situation, if we identify that on a certain location there are some x more than x number of customers which are impacted, and we have escalated this proactive case into a major case, then all the subsequent cases which would be actually submitted by some customers, those would be added as a child case of that major case. And once this major case would be solved, all these child cases would also be resolved. So this kind of major case management situation is also very important, especially in the critical services that we offer, like some telco services that we offer to our customer, and we are a telco giant. So in that case there are some critical services wherein if any of the major cases happening, there would be a lot of customers who would be impacted. So like this, the proactive case mechanism is very important, and the KPIs related to that is very important to show them in case if they have certain mechanism of having this proactive case, unless we can just focus on the reactive case only. So just be aware of what use case the customer is having so that we identify the right KPI. Let's say if we don't we come to know that they are not having any monitoring system per se, then we should not be even offering the proactive case kind of thing to them. So like this only, I think we covered many of these things in IT service management, but from the customer perspective, these are some of the important KPIs that we can show to them. Now, customer service management is also having a byproduct kind of application, which is now licensed separately, but it is very much tied up from the process perspective, which is the field service management, wherein for any single case which has been raised by customer, once the RCA happens to fix this kind of case, if there is any work order or any task that needs to be assigned to some field technician or the field workforce, then we can leverage this field service management application. And definitely it will also give them the usability of the mobile app so that they can start their work, stop their work within time. So with that we can also track what has been the trend on these work orders that have been created to, let's say, a particular set of customers or the particular location. So based on our choice, we can see what has been the delivery trend of all these work orders. So there are some of the unique I would say KPIs in this field service management that we have gathered from our experience so far. So there is one interesting project I think all of us are aware, which was Avery. So we did the FSM for the very first time for Avery, and when we did, it was not provided as a standalone application in ServiceNow. So we kind of build it custom. So within that, all the features which are currently available, we kind of created them as a new features in ServiceNow. So this location tracking piece was something that we created back then. So there was one KPI wherein the customer wanted to see how many times or what has been the range of my field service technicians wherein they are on the field, and I want to kind of track their locations, whether they are uh, you know actually on the field or they are just reporting that okay, we went there for let's say x number of hours and it took me 9 hours to complete this job. So this location tracking was very much useful kind of feature for customer, because they kind of validated that the number of hours which are being reported by a field technician, let's say 9 hours, is this the correct number or not. So with that, we kind of created this one more utility on the claims. So because there was some mathematics which was going on against the number of hours that every field technician was reporting. So let's say I reported 9 hours for today, and based on certain formula, there was some claim that I could raise against my today's visit. So this kind of claim summary, which was not out of the box available in ServiceNow, we did for them. So again, depending upon the use case and the business requirement, we can have some new KPIs which may be available, because they might be tracking about it, or we can create based on the use case for them. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about these some of the KPIs. Similarly, we can think of every single feature that is available in ServiceNow. So let's say in ServiceNow Field Service Management, we can predefine the task templates. So like we define these project templates in ITBM, we can similarly define these task templates. So let's say if this work order is of repair kind of work order. So let's say in our daily life situations, there has been field visit wherein some, let's say, some field technician has come to our door, and then there has been some repair that needs to be done. So in that case, there would be certain checklists that would be performed by the field technician, and then once done, then they would be doing something and then just closing this task. So this kind of templatization can save the time when this particular task or this work order has been created afresh. So whether this templatization has helped the agent to create the right work order and assign it to the right field technician. So this utilization of every single feature. So like we used to track whether these 10 task templates that we have created, are these being utilized. So these kind of new KPIs, which is very much relevant to their use cases, we can kind of propose to them. Anyone would like to share something on customer service management or field service management? Can we talk about this KPI, customer call experience? Because as we understand, ServiceNow doesn't provide you any direct call feature to the customer. So any chance how we can create this KPI for the customer here in ServiceNow, customer call experience? So someone unmuted, and then guys, I'm just talking about this the customer call experience. Anyone would like to add how we can build this in ServiceNow? Any random guess?
We can send a feedback survey after the call or something. How was the experience? And on the basis of that, we can build that KPI. That would be one of the ways.
Yep. So this is again something that we recently did. So Radhika, would you like to give a more insight on this?
So can we, so I have a question.
Yeah.
So can we use, usually what happens, especially in marketing, what happens is like we tend to get certain keywords from the conversation and build a word cloud. And then we see which is the major word that has been using. So positive, this was a positive experience for me and blah, blah. And they derive certain words from that conversation and then build a word cloud, and that can be showcased.
Correct. So it's Manav, this is also one of the use case that we thought of for a customer, but what we actually implemented was a bit different. So I would say there can be some phases that we can propose. So the very first phase can be, as Varun mentioned, that after every call we can send a survey of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars and just rate us, and based on that we can create this KPI. The second can be wherein we have some CTI which is integrated with ServiceNow, and we are kind of just analyzing what how the call was with this customer, and agent just does this call and completes it and then puts some thoughts about it. And in that case, we are not having matured integration. It is just a high level integration wherein we are just creating every case one case for each call. So this kind of phase 2 maturity, I would say, we can have for CSM and to have this customer call experience KPI. The third would be your case, wherein we can have this word cloud, so we can kind of record this conversation, and based on the words or the conversations which was there, we can analyze that. Let's say the tone was kind of frustrating, so I didn't get service on time. So these kind of things, so the positive, negative, these kind of analysis can be very well done based on the call that we have with the customer. So with that also we can have this experience. It is not like we also need to rate every time in on, let's say, on a scale of 1 to 10. You can just have it yes or no, or positive, negative, or neutral. So these kind of various mechanism can be there depending upon the feasibility of, let's say, if we don't have any integration, then definitely we can go for the first method, wherein we can just have a survey. Yeah, so I think in HDFC, Radhika, was there anything different that we did for customer call experience?
Yes, Suman, actually, I was coming to that only. So to club everything that you just mentioned about the 3 ways to, interact with the customers. So it was more or less like that only. So with HDFC, we were supposed to manage all the call centers, which were, actually doing collections on behalf of, their customers. So over there, yes, with the Orlando upgrade, we have a CTI solution that is enabled on the instance with 3C logic. And that omni-channel support of calling the customers from the instance itself is also happening. But with HDFC, what was there is all the call centers that are doing collections for them, they had their own dialer solutions. And there was a team in place that used to do a quality check on those calls. So they used to record all the calls of the agents who are interacting with the customer, and basis on their modulation, basis on the way they are interacting with the customer, they used to pull out some kind of quality report. So they had a separate quality analysis tool for the agent performance as well. So like I said, that everything was working in silos. There was no one interactive medium that is providing them the consolidated information. So with our case management feature, yes, you mentioned rightly that every time a person is interacting with that particular customer via the calls, so all those interactions gets created, and you can actually record even the calls also on the instance now in ServiceNow. So we didn't go by with the 3C logic to be used, because that is also subscription based and it is quite a high license fee model. So we did a Twilio integration in that, Twilio configuration in that particular POC. And we were able to record all those calls also. We were able to listen to all those interactions, and to guide them and to give them one consolidated view that once a case gets open, either a customer can call on the instance and can get interacted with the agent, or the agent can make a call. So both ways it was happening, and we were able to capture each and every bit of interaction that was happening over a single case. So that is how that solution used to work. So now we have that that calling feature also available with the ServiceNow.
Yep. So I think we can also learn one thing here, that with all these integrations that we are having with ServiceNow, we can also think of some new KPI. So let's say for this customer call experience only, if there has been some integration and there is some feature that is as an added advantage with ServiceNow now, then we can probably have the right KPI around it, and then we can show them that this is the value that ServiceNow can give you. You can make the most of your third-party systems also.
So like, they had, sorry to interrupt you. So they had an idea of, providing some kind of incentive to those agents to perform better. So they had that, incentive related KPI also attached to them. And they wanted to see that, bit of it on the landing page itself for those agents, so that, they have in mind that they have to, gain this much of incentive. They have to make these many calls, and basis on their quality report, some matrices was also, supposed to be kept on top. So it was a mix of every aspect or a KPI that particular agent have to perform in order to meet the targets. And with the help of all these kind of indicators, with the help of all these kind of matrices, they had a vision of improvising those agent performances. So that was the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that we can think about for all the integrations and all the other systems that we would be having in ServiceNow. Anyone else would like to share something on CSM or FSM? Okay, so let's move forward. I'll go quickly on IT operations management. So we discussed a bit much on CMDB. So CMDB gives you a view of all the infrastructure assets that you have, and you have one CMDB health dashboard with the compliance, completeness, correctness, right? And then we also discussed that we can then propose discovery to go further and have this CMDB to be 100% correct in nature. So with that, there are some of the KPIs which are available there for the discovery that we can show as part of discovery application. That okay, so discovery is again not one time activity that you just do one time and it is complete. So it is a kind of progress that you make over a period of time. So we can show a trend, probably that within the last few weeks or 2-3 weeks, this has been the progress that we have made, so that we are moving towards that 100% CMDB vision that we have thought of. Similarly, for event management, we understand that there are many KPIs like how many events from every monitoring tool we are getting on, let's say, weekly basis or daily basis. But these are two very important KPIs that we should discuss from the management perspective. So, just from the overall perspective of event management, we have this thought that we have to, one, reduce the amount of events that we are receiving from X number of monitoring tools. Two, we have to correlate them better so that we can reduce the overall remediation time or the response time for this particular event. So there are two, KPIs which, we could present, wherein the very first KPI talks about the alert avoidance. So let's say if we are getting, 1,000 events today per day, and by the layer of this event management engine, we can reduce it to, let's say, 90% today. Then all these alerts which we are capable of, avoid, this is the, alert avoidance percent that we can show. So the amount of effort that would be reduced from the NOC perspective, that let's say if they would have to again tackle with these all 1,000 events, and now they have to just deal with, let's say, 50 events, then the straight reduction of effort we can show to customer. And then the correlation percent, so how good every alert has been correlated together. So whether it is a parent child correlation thing, so let's say if we get one alert from one server right now, and then in next 10 minutes there are 10 more alerts, and we are correlating all these alerts, creating to only one incident. So that's one way of correlation. So similarly, ServiceNow gives you 9-10 level of correlation, deduplication, parent child level. So these kind of correlation logics help us to achieve that correlation percent, so that we can again give the better view in terms of the rich capabilities, that every alert or every incident that we have generated, it is having the right context, so that the NOC analyst or whomsoever is working on this particular incident can take the right decision, or probably then automate the remediation part also. Let's say server restart needs to happen, then it can be just facilitated through one click itself. So these kind of automation scenarios can also be there. Similarly, service mapping side. So as we know that, discovery and service mapping go both hand in hand. Then, with the discovery, we do the vertical one, and with the horizontal one, and with service mapping, we do the vertical one. So how many business critical applications we have mapped today, or what has been that reusability, that once we have done these 50 applications and now we are working on, let's say, some 10-20 applications which are the new applications, then how faster we can do them, or are there some reusable patterns that are available for us. So these kind of KPIs, we can show them. uh, Similarly, for multi-cloud management that we can, probably show with a cloud management application. We can show them what has been the improvement in the day-to-day operation. So whether it is about cloud provisioning, deprovisioning, scaling up, scaling down, right? So day-to-day operations, day two operations, and even the billing jobs that we need to calculate or create based on how many resources we have consumed from the cloud. So these kind of, I would say that efficiency KPIs we can show them from the cloud management perspective, and as well as the cloud discovery status, as this would be anyway the step one to go for the cloud management. This is something that we can show for the cloud management side. Then software asset management, this is all about how well we provide the right license posture to our customers. So once we have set up the system and we have done all these normalization engine is in place, then how well it is performing in terms of reclaiming the unlicensed softwares or having the right software installation automatically. So these kind of actions that we need to perform, we can have some KPIs around them, and then we can probably show them the right the monetarily KPI, which would be the reduction in software licenses that we spend. So for example, right now they are spending X amount of money, and then with this reduction, which happened through these reclamations that we did, we can show them the right number that is lesser than the current that they are spending. So this is the straight the KPI that we should be showing with the software asset management. And of course, the compliance angle, which is in software asset management, which is also very important, wherein you can detect what all software assets that are currently installed are unauthorized, and you can reclaim them right away. So that having the right compliance posture is also one of the very important KPIs for software asset management. Okay, so anyone would like to add on this piece? So these are some of the sets, some minimal set of KPIs. These are not the all KPIs. We know that they are also available on Now Create and out of the box. Portals are having all those KPIs. But these are some of the important ones that we can think or talk to customer whenever we are having any conversations around them. Anyone would like to add here? Hemant, would you like to add something on SAM?
Yeah, I'm just looking at what you're showing on screen, right? So do we have in this list? Yeah. So it does not. No, wait. Yeah, it does not. One of the things that you look in SAM, right, is active applications. Okay, where you have licenses, like applications which are installed but are not being currently used, for example, right?
Right. So I think reclamation candidates, which are, let's say, not in use for, let's say, 2 months or 6 months, but active.
Yeah, correct. So is there a reclamation candidate here? I don't see it here, right?
Yeah, we can definitely add that, wherein we kind of analyze and just pull this detail around that. We have already spent on these licenses. These are also installed on some workstations, but this is not in use for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
So these are probably the right candidates which are suitable for reclamation. Yes, very important point. We can add that. Okay. Anything on service mapping as well, Hemant?
Service mapping, no. I am still reading upon it, so yeah, my knowledge is like not up to there yet.
Hi, this is Varun.
Yeah, hi Varun.
For SAM, we actually added one more KPI in my previous organization. It was like the number of software models, discovery models without a software model after the implementation of SAM Pro.
Right. Yeah. So as I mentioned that these are some of the, I would say layer 2 KPIs Of course, in layer one, when basic KPIs are important, then number of discovery models without software models, these are very, very important, and we can definitely, this is very, very important, discussion that generally happens in any SAM project. Yes, very important. I hope we all are on same page when we are discussing, SAM. Any question from any of us, wherein anything which is not conceptually clear on SAM or service mapping, we can just have a bit on that. We can ask questions to each other.
So one question, total time spent on mapping new services, how would you track that in system? Because, I mean, in service mapping, because there isn't any field or anything which is there. And when you say versus manual effort, so before service mapping, I mean, there wouldn't have been any manual effort. So
Right. So Varun, this is one of the performance KPIs. So if you remember the first slide wherein we were having outcome KPIs and the implementation KPIs, wherein let's say we want to, so let's say there could be one conversation with a customer wherein they have a large set of, business services, let's say some 80, 90 business services they are having. And then we want to show them or probably train their team on some task that they can do after kind of train the trainer model. So let's say first 50 business critical services we did. After that, we kind of handed over to them, and we are just having the right governance, and they are doing that. So this is something that we definitely are not, having pulled from ServiceNow platform itself. This is something that we have to enter. But it is about adoption that we can show to the customer that for the first 50 services, because these 50 services were new, we were, let's say, having 2 weeks per business services, which was required. And now then we have a right, right patterns are available, and we have kind of understood the environment well. Then for the rest of 30, 20 business services, the time would be a bit, lesser. And manual would be definitely, I mean, once let's say customer was not using ServiceNow, at that time they must be having some manual practices to maintain these relationships around all these critical applications. So it is again a very high level number that we can take from customer itself, that they would be doing, let's say, every weekly they would be having one activity wherein they would just update this particular service for some CI change that has been occurred. So that's how we can accumulate the overall effort for a month or for a year.
okay.
Okay, so we covered ITSM, CSM, and ITOM. I think we already are, we have crossed 7. So after that, Manav, can we just quickly touch upon ITBM, and you would just talk about a couple of KPIs for every module, so that we are aware that whenever we are talking to someone, what are the right KPIs that we should focus upon?
Sure.
Within ITBM. Yeah.
Sure. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Is it visible?
Yes, I can.
So usually what happens with ITBM is like it provides the visibility. So when I talk about specifically about, say, the APM module, which is the application portfolio management module, usually the companies who are facing a lot of application and there is it is hard for them to maintain and support, they opt for APM module. So a typical use case or the vision, like someone was talking about, is application rationalization. So how we can rationalize certain application using the APM module is a prime vision for this particular application. Okay, so the indicators that we usually use in this APM module is, say, the CSAT, functional fit, business value, application TCO, usage, software cost, etc. And these are basically based on the 3 parameters. So people, process, and technology. And usually the assessment is done on these 3 parameters, and they are like subsequent indicators within these 3 parameters, and they're driven from that. Also, what I see over here is the data source. So usually some of the data source are driven from some of the data source for this particular indicators are either assessment based or they are via a query or a custom script. So we also need to define that how would we get that particular thing. Not everything would be driven from the attributes that are already on the table. Right. So APM provides that particular functionality in which I can tie a particular goal. So for example, my vision was that I want to go for application rationalization. Now my business outcome was decreasing the TCO cost by 50%. Not just that, but in a particular fiscal year. So that time frame is also important when we drive that particular business outcome. And next, we tie a particular goal or a business outcome with a program, and then see that whether what is happening with that particular business outcome. And then we choose the particular strategy that, say, I want to retire certain application, I want to invest in certain other application based on, say, the TCO score or certain other financial attributes. Right. So if I click on this, I have all the application which exists in the CMDB, the business application table, and then we have the associated attributes with it. So I have how many are, say, a company wants to migrate to a cloud platform and they want to move away from all the homegrown and the on-premise application. So they want to see how many applications are on cloud, how many applications are on-premise, and then what is the associated application TCO cost, and they want to invest only in a particular application, which is, say, the category is sales, right? So they want to see there are like 4 applications within sale, and which particular application they want to invest in and which particular application they want to retire.
Okay,
Right.
so Manav, let's say if we target APM for a customer, then can we have a couple of APIs which are kind of very important? Because let's say we have like 5 minutes to talk to them. So what would be that, that collection of, KPIs wherein, as we have seen, a couple of use cases for APM
Right.
also.
So what happens is, like, all the KPIs are driven from the goal they want to achieve. If they want to basically achieve that, they want to decrease the capex by, say, $10,000 in a particular fiscal year, they have to see the cost of each application. If they want to see that they want to retire certain application based on the user base. So we have the landscape in which I can see that these are the top 10 applications based on the user base, and I can retire certain other applications which are not used by the user. So the business outcome drives that particular thing. So for application rationalization, we usually see the TCO cost. So the total cost of ownership for a particular application, and whether we want to continue investing in that particular application or want to retire that particular application.
Yep. Very, very much valid point here, because application portfolio management is all about having this visibility into all the applications that we have. Yep.
Right. Also, while investing in a particular application or whether we want to retire that particular application, it is also important to see the technology risk. And we loop back to the particular thing that I was talking about, the people, process, and technology part. So when there is a, say, with Windows XP, so Microsoft was no longer supporting Windows XP. So there is a risk attached to that particular life cycle of application. So we want to retire that particular application and we want to invest in certain other version of the Microsoft or, say, other Linux or whatever OS we want to. That also needs to be considered. So all in all, it depends on the goal they want to achieve. And these are the different parameters that are available to them. So there are like 19 parameters, and then they have to bifurcate or they have to select certain parameters which are important to them based on their goal, and then they can select it. Similarly, if I go to the PPM module, which was recently implemented in Morpheus, so an important KPI for the leadership team was the bench report. So they want to see how many people are on bench and how many people are basically working in a project. So we have created a report for them in which there is a bifurcation that if say you are invested in a particular activity and you're working towards a particular activity which is not revenue generating, so it's not important. How should I put it? It's not basically affecting the revenue of the company. So they want to see what percentage of people are involved in activities which drive revenue for the company and which do not. Also, let me open the subprod and see certain other reports. Yeah, so project vested, billing type. Yeah, similarly, so we have a report based on the category. So how many projects are for the customer, how many are internal in nature, and how many are of different activity altogether, so that we can have the visibility that the person is utilized in the correct direction, and then strategies can be made according to that particular thing. Right. Also, one important report for in terms of resources is that, or a KPI is the utilization factor. So, what is the percentage utilization based on the capacity, right? So, a particular person works for 8 hours, but the utilization has been say 9 hours, 10 hours. So he has been overutilized. Now, this basically will come back to the HR department that they can hire certain people in that particular domain. So say if a project is coming for ITSM and we have 10 people and they are overutilized. So the leadership will have the visibility into that particular thing, and it can be linked to the HR module as well, in which we can ask that we need to hire certain more people for the IT, which have the skill set of ITSM, and because they are the current workforce is overutilized, so we need to basically bring in certain more people who will work on the ITSM module. Right. So what happens in ITBM specific, I don't know about other modules, but in ITBM, it is about the business outcome they want to achieve. And the KPIs are driven from that business outcome.
Right. Yep.
So it isn't a template or standard format that this should be the KPI for a particular person, because everyone has a different.
Right. I think Manav, for a PPM perspective, we can also have a couple of KPIs around project status, how many projects are, overrunning or behind the timelines or something like that. Because for PMO, I think this would be also one of the important thing that they would want to see.
Right. So for the PMO, it is essential because they are tracking the overall project, right? So they want to see any deviation in terms of schedule, the timeline, the resources, the cost. So these 4 part are basically the common things that every PMO would want. But other KPIs basically are dependent on the business they are in.
Correct. Yep.
Right. So if I see, if I open a particular project, right. So I have the different attributes available. So every attribute is available over here, but to see the deviation in terms of the actual and the planned is an important KPI for the PMO or the project managers, that whether the project is on track or not. So the planned start date versus the actual start date, the planned end date versus the actual end date, the planned effort versus the actual effort. And this is basically an important point because usually I've also seen that companies create a knowledge article from the project, which later helps them to basically learn from the past planning phase. So if they have planned that this particular implementation of say the ITSM project will require 35 days, but usually when the project is implemented, it is requiring around 70 days. So there is a variance of more than 50%, more than 100%, right? So they can create a knowledge article from that particular thing and learn from it, so that when other PMs are opening a project of say the ITSM module, they have the visibility that there is a variance and they need to basically plan it properly.
Yeah, I think that's a good stuff on ITBM. At least we know the talking points when we talk to customer and where to hit the right, what are those right KPIs that we can talk about. Any questions from anyone on ITBM? Okay, so I think we covered most of the applications. So just for for FYI for everyone, so we have a folder called advisory. I'm not sure for about every one of us have the access to it. Shubham, do you have the access to the advisory folder?
Actually, I've never checked. I was not aware of that.
Okay, sure. So guys, the list of all these KPIs and the module wise, what could be the right set. We generally keep it in advisory folder. We'll be updated as well, and then we'll be sharing this link again so that this exercise that we are doing today, that we can just refer to that repository and update it whenever we find a new KPI. We want to just publish it to customer. We can just take the reference and go with that. So I'll be sharing one separate email with the advisory folder structure also, so that even for all the trainings that we did today, it would be handy for us to just check and refer to any document that we want to see. So we are not covering any other application for now. We'll be placing all these KPIs there and we can have the follow-up discussions. After this, there were two more small topics. I'll just take 5 more minutes, wherein we just wanted to pass a message. So I'll share my screen again with a small message from Himanshu. Let me know if it is visible now. Every problem has two solutions, Bhaglo and Bhaglo. I hope it is visible, right? So
Yes.
the basic idea, so the basic idea with this was the attitude thing that I was talking, about in starting. So the ultimate goal that every one of us should be having is solving a problem, and this goal can be achieved or not achieved with two ways. One is just be on the ground and participate in that and take the ownership, and the other one is of course to choose not to participate and just the first one, the bhaglo. So it's about us, what choice we are taking, and there are many circumstances in our day-to-day life, professional, personal, wherein we just face these kind of situations, and we often asked ourselves also that why this needs to be happen with me only. So in that situation, let's have this attitude that we can just take the ownership of it. We have the right team along with us, and and then problem doesn't seem that complex. So this was a message that Himanshu wanted to pass on. The other thing that we can just think about is the reflection of Inmorphis on all the people out there, whether the customers or some our circle, even our friends, or any some person who is in our network on, let's say, LinkedIn. So what is that reflection that we are having by us of Inmorphis? So this again can be something that should be very much common. So let's say either it is me or Manav, or let's say anyone of let's say uh, even any developer who is working with us in any project. So there needs to be a common spirit among all of us, wherein what Inmorphis does, what are the values that we have, these small things should be very much consistent then when we talk about Inmorphis to someone who is external to us, or even to the internal. And there is a this is our responsibility as well, because this is one organization wherein we are we belong to this organization, and we have to organize it well as well. So the integrity which comes in front of us when we belong to this organization is a kind of responsibility as well, wherein we should be kind of careful and we should be taking again the ownership in this reflection as well, that what kind of message is being passed on about in Morpheus, what is the uh, the image, or what is, I would say, how, what kind of brand this Morpheus is being in the external world, is all about our responsibility, because each one of us are contributing into it. So we should be kind of careful and very proud in this making of this journey and this brand. That's the second thing that I just wanted to pass on. I think I'm good with this. Any other thing, or I know we are ending these sessions today, so we won't be meeting tomorrow again for this. Anything or any experience that you would like to share? Anyone would like to share any feedback on, or let's say on some, the assignments that we are having? Anything that we would like to discuss? Over to you.
Hello. Uh, Thank you everyone for joining the meeting. Actually, I'm expecting that today everyone will share the assignments. I've already got two assignments, one from Sumam and one from Charanji. So far, I'm waiting for that to submit. I think you enjoyed the training, all training sessions.
Yes, Pradyuman, thanks. And I will share the remaining one as well. So, Shubham here. Yeah, Suman, thanks. And I would like to use this platform to really thank you and everyone who has been a part of this complete training and who has planned it. I understand how much thought process and the effort has been put to find out the complete topic and the way it was brought up. I mean, it was very nice and it was in a very good way and really informative. So I really enjoyed each and every day. I would say the session by Akash, data modeling, that was completely new. I would say I knew a couple of things, but in bits and pieces. So joining all the dots in just one and helping me understand, helping all of us understand that how to do the data modeling, what data modeling exactly is. That was really great. I mean, I would say that and the sessions that you were taking, that those were more of the I mean, the communicative sessions wherein everyone is coming in and giving their input. So that's I guess, the best way to deliver a message. So yes, I believe every trainer who has come, they have their own style, and I really enjoyed each and every bit of this. So, and it was informative too. So thanks.
Thanks, Shubham. Thanks for this. Anyone else would like to say some parting words, some goodbyes? Okay, so
Suman, I would like to say something.
yep.
Yeah. So I actually happened to join this boot camp in the middle of it. So I happened to miss, 4-5 sessions. But whatever sessions that I have attended, I actually have, imbibed some of the knowledge that was pretty much required. And I really adore this, factor of this organization, that, it places more importance. Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so it places more importance in building the portfolio of the individuals as well. It is not only about the daily tasks, but to keep entire upgrade in a person also. So I really enjoyed these sessions, and I will going to miss all this also. Thank you.
Thanks, Radhika. Okay, so
I just want to add, I'll just take a minute. I just want to add a thought here, Suman and everyone.
Yeah.
So, guys, we have seen these sessions happening for quite some time now. Various sessions, different topics, different styles, a lot of communication. Okay, but let me tell you, the real learning will happen when you start applying it, and that will count. Your experience will count, and the matter the most. So I would humbly request you, when you get time, go back, listen to these sessions whenever it's required, and apply it in your daily life as you're working. Because until you apply, you will not get that experience. Unless you get that experience, you will not be able to apply it. So it's vice versa. Okay. So in order to grow and groom, please apply it, apply the learnings, and keep learning as you move forward, and keep contacting different trainers, facilitators who are there whenever you have any doubts. That's the last sentence from my side. Thank you so much for joining the sessions.
thanks, Piyush. Okay, so
I
I
think that's all for today.
yeah,
Thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you,
Chalo
brother.
bhai,
Thank you.
all the
Thank you,
best.
Suman.
Start
thank you.
participating. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.